Hi everyone, this is our channel, Meet the Real Story. Please like, share and subscribe.
Hello, my name is Adrian and I am 27 years old. I'm an archaeologist and the leader of an archaeological team. We have recorded many archaeological discoveries and earned many honors in our country. We are renowned and popular with the media. Yet, in spite of all my achievements, I wasn't satisfied. My dream in life was to discover the hidden gold of King Pedro, the second king of Peru. He was reputed in many legends to have possessed a vast treasure of gold. However, there was no concrete evidence of this. For all I knew, it may have been just old wives' tales passed down through the generations. I was the only one I knew who took the legend seriously. King Pedro had been famous for his power and strength. The stories mentioned that he had many hidden underground treasures, so there was at least a chance that these stories and legends might be true. I started my journey by searching the internet for maps and data from any previous expeditions to Peru. I read their notes, logs, and experiences there. I found a lot of data but no solid information that I could hang my hat on. I didn't give up though. I invited a few trusted members of my team to accompany me on an expedition to Peru. A 4-day trip saw us arrive at the South American forest, a heavily forested place, an ideal place for a king to hide his treasure. The forest was full of wild animals, and we were attacked several times. Every night, we would have insect bites all over our bodies. Still, I didn't lose hope in spite of these adversities. All evidence pointed to a place called the Tiger's Eye, somewhere in the middle of the forest. It was believed to be a lava tube or cave of some sort with a lava flow that went deep into the earth. When we reached what we believed to be our destination, we were so tired. Yet, my enthusiasm and faith drove me to want to go down into the hole immediately. My team warned me to exercise caution, but I was too excited. Too close to potentially achieving my life's dream. I rigged a rope and began lowering myself down into the hole. I quickly learned that this had been a mistake. The air in the hole was scalding hot. Sparks were rising with the hot air flow up and out of the hole. The rope started smoldering where small sparks in the stifling air uptake had clung to the rope, creating small burning embers. I began to worry that my rope might burn through and drop me into this hellhole. But right before I started to pull myself back up, I glimpsed something. Something shiny. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I saw flashes of gold tint embedded in the rock and glinting in the faint sunlight glow from above. I climbed out of the hole, soaking in sweat, sucking in the cool, refreshing air to expel the burning air from my lungs. I told my team about the veins of gold in the walls of the hole. We set up a camp for a few weeks and were able to extract a small fortune's worth of gold. It wasn't King Pedro's gold treasure, but it was close enough to make our expedition worthwhile. It was a great discovery in that my trip wasn't completely in vain. Can I call my dream a success?
Every little girl is supposed to want to grow up to be a beautiful princess. How can you blame her? She grows up knowing that a glass slipper from the prince will change her destiny. She also knows that she may fall into a deep slumber only to be rescued by a princess kiss. Let's not forget the fairest of them all. She manages to be loved for cleaning after 7 short men. Wow, the world we have created for our beautiful creatures. I watched all these cartoons. I imagined my prince choosing me over all of the others. I imagined dancing across the ballroom while everyone's eyes followed my graceful steps. I was the envy of every ball in every childhood fantasy. These fantasies were quite a contrast to my reality at home. Now, allow me to elaborate before you jump to conclusions. I had a fantastic childhood. From as young as I can remember, my mother kept my hair short. As a toddler, this meant wild red curls. The majority of my pictures were of me in funny poses. One with my father's big glasses, another with ketchup all over my face, and another swinging off a gate at our home. There are very few pictures where I'm sitting like a pretty proper girl with perfect clips in my hair. In fact, I remember always getting scraped and having yet another bruise on my knee. As I got a little older, my classmates had perfect pigtails and long ponytails or fancy clips. I remember looking at the flowing locks of hair wishing I had the same, but I had a boy cut. Yes, famously known as the Diana cut. Surprisingly, I looked nothing like Princess Diana. Instead, I looked like a skinny boy with bruised knees and short black hair wearing a dress. In fact, I once went on a strike and refused to go to the salon, so my mom was forced to grow out my hair. I think I lost the battle when I started looking like a philosopher with sideburns and thick hair on top. According to my mom, it was so I could enjoy being a kid, so I could run, jump, swing from the monkey bars without having to worry about a ponytail or braids getting undone. Finally, I started looking like a girl. Nonetheless, it was a long journey. I still was not able to do what other teenage girls did. For some reason, I was not allowed to wear lip gloss, blush, or mascara. Instead, I would get a face cream, some nice clothes, and I was sent on my way. This actually lasted all the way to high school. I finally put on eyeliner during senior year in high school and also experimented with lipstick. But by then, all the girls were way ahead of me. They had been putting on makeup for years. They knew what foundation, blush, concealer, and primer was. I was just getting started. There was no way I could catch up. After all, I just realized I could straighten my hair. So, I am assuming when you hear the scenario I describe, you feel very sorry for me. I sound like a plain Jane feeling like an ugly duckling when all she needed was a pretty set of pigtails and lip gloss. Well, here is the catch. I never felt ugly, and never even knew I was a plain Jane. I never felt like I needed lip gloss, and I certainly never felt like I needed any concealer to conceal anything, ever. Other than wanting long locks of hair, I was simply perfect in my mind. In fact, now that I look at pictures of the plain Jane, I'm so surprised about how pretty I felt inside. I only know that because I was able to try so many new things, take risks, and excel in so many different things in school that I must have honestly thought I was pretty amazing all the way around. I'm not saying this to brag, I'm simply analyzing how a plain Jane surrounded by beauty queens managed to be well-rounded, extremely confident young girl. I did see not myself the way I see myself in those photos now. Now that I know the power of concealer, blush, and eyeliner, I also did not see myself perhaps how others saw me. I saw me how my mother saw me. My mother never called me beautiful. In fact, she never called anyone beautiful. My mother only talked about other girls as smart, funny, classy, or confident. Thus, naturally, I started to appreciate those qualities in other girls and wanted to develop myself to be a girl with such attributes. Thus, in turn, others responded to me in kind. I thought I had it all, and knowing that I knew that, they believed it too. What a lesson for life. Beautiful was powerless to me. It was a word that had no value in my mother's eyes. It was a happy accident, and perhaps it was never impressed upon in my home. When I look at pictures as a teenager, I see the brilliance of it all. The calculated strategy of my mother imposed on me to help me gain inner confidence without relying on my exterior. In fact, it was not until I reached adulthood, mid-20s, did I realize how others viewed me physically. It was through the eyes of strangers that I realized how much people really respond to and judge you on your looks. Luckily, I had blossomed from a plain Jane to someone who understood the power of makeup by then. It was actually a disheartening reality, especially when I realized that older women analyze the beauty of younger girls. Women are unnecessarily tough on other women. Perhaps it is because a lot of women have been victims of the cycle themselves, always feeling that they were not pretty enough. Just last week, my mother was casually telling me why I had a boycott when I was 4. It went beyond the fact that she wanted me to run and jump without hair in my face. She simply said, "You looked so cute. The short hair was part of your charm." How wonderful I feel even now to hear those words. My mother really thought that, even as a child, her daughter's charm was the most important thing. I have beautiful curls, and I let them run wild. They jump as I jump, and I can only hope I always feel beautiful in the same way my mother made me feel beautiful, by never saying it out loud. I do not panic. I simply take a breath, sit down on a stone bench nestled against some building I read about once, but can't remember the name of, and scan my cartoony tourist map for anything that looks familiar. But nothing. Give me a little credit though. Having grown up in a town with a population of just under 2,000 people, a town with a farmland and no streetlights, I am a country pumpkin who's been dropped off in a major city. I'm lucky I haven't wandered off the cliffs by now, only 2 days into my semester abroad. But culture shock is one of the main reasons I came to Dublin. So even though it is terrifying and unfamiliar, I know that living in another country for 5 months will definitely help me grow. As they say, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having the new eyes. The weather in Ireland changes quicker than a middle school crush. By now the sky has turned a shade of gray and raindrops are beginning to spatter onto the map in my hands. I had been warned of the rain, repeatedly, before coming. It always falls softly at first, quiet as a page being turned, delicate as lace, but that's all just foreplay. When the wind comes, and it always does. It's no matter though. Studying in this city was one of my greatest desires and I knew the weather was part of the package. Dublin was meant to be experienced in the rain. The streets are full of people. I wonder if they can smell the tourist on me. I've been in Dublin for roughly 48 hours and it has yet to feel like home. Maybe it's because I haven't had time to unpack, eat a full meal, or even think. At one point, I was awake for 35 straight hours and learned that there is a little difference between delirium and insanity. To fight the chaos, I cling to the moments of serenity and hoard them like poker chips I can cash when things become too hectic. My most peaceful moment came on the plane ride here. The flight went by quickly. The wind was at our backs and the stars were ahead. As we approached, the Dublin skyline lit up like an artificial constellation. My heart was filled with promise knowing that it would soon beat along with the city's pulse. And even though I have yet to feel at peace, my heart continues to say, "You will, you will, you will." The rain stops, umbrellas are tucked away, ready to be drawn when the moment calls again. I think a small part of me likes being lost. I know that if I really wanted to, I could ask any of the passers-by where I am or where I need to go. Everyone I've met so far has been so nice they'd likely offer me a ride there and a pint along the way, let alone directions. It seems strange by European standards, but the Irish people love Americans. And I mean love. They love Americans the way Americans love themselves. They want to know where I am from in the States and what it's like there and what brought me to their neck of the woods. All of it. And they really listen, absorbing every word and filtering them as willingly as if it was oxygen. There are bound to be some bad people here in Ireland because there are bad people everywhere. But with an open mind and a positive outlook, they're hard to find. Ireland as a whole is a country I've long idealized. Its postcards should be hung in the Louvre. Its culture is so rich. It is also home to my favorite writers, as well as my ancestors. I seldom contemplated my heritage before going abroad. Since I'm not of one ethnicity, I never had one predominant country to identify with. My family tree is like a European Union cocktail. Equal parts Irish, English, German, with just a splash of Dutch, shaken and not stirred. Living in Ireland briefly has changed that. I feel a part of it. I feel it in the words of the Irish people. I feel it in the quiet that hangs over the treeless forever-reaching fields. And I feel it in the river as it churns, endlessly dark and endlessly deep. So, as I sit on the same stone bench, gazing at the same animated map, I realize I'd rather be lost here in Dublin than be found anywhere else in the world.